Welcome to this deep dive from the Digital Library of Designing the Future University. Rethinking the Higher Education Business Model, a strategic playbook for university leaders, authored by Dr. Ghazwan Hassna. I'm very pleased to welcome the author, Dr. Ghazwan Hassna, a distinguished higher education leader and strategist. Thank you for joining us to walk through this critical work.
It's my pleasure. It's certainly a challenging time for university leadership, and these issues demand focused, systematic thinking. So I'm very glad that we can explore the framework and the methodology.
Absolutely. So today we're driving into the strategic need, really, to fundamentally rethink the higher education business model. There are just so many pressures converging right now. Our focus will be on how institutions can shift gears, moving beyond just, acknowledging disruption, towards actually institutionalizing continuous innovation that's aligned with the mission.
Exactly.
And crucially, this isn't about small tweaks or just cutting budgets here and there. It's about proactively designing what comes next for the institution's long-term health.
That's the core idea. And for institutions to really build that kind of resilience, we first have to tackle a bit of a paradox, a tension that often comes up when we talk with academic leaders. Sometimes just the phrase business model, it can cause some immediate pushback.
Right, that tension is real. I've seen it too. For many faculty, hearing business model immediately sounds like corporate talk creeping in. They worry it means putting profits ahead of the actual academic mission, research, teaching, service. It feels like the opposite of what a university should be about.
Understandably so. The reluctance often comes from a very genuine place, wanting to protect those core academic values. But I believe it rests on a false dichotomy. The business model isn't the enemy of the mission. If anything, it's the engine. It's what actually empowers the mission.
How so?
Well, think about it. If that engine, the economic structure, stalls, then everything else grinds to a halt. We can't fund the essential research. We can't offer needed scholarships. We struggle to attract and keep top faculty. And we certainly cannot maintain the labs, the libraries, the technology, all the things needed for a truly transformative education today.
So paying strategic attention to the financial side isn't undermining the mission. It's essential stewardship, protecting it for the future.
Precisely. It's enabling it.
You argue quite strongly in the playbook that the timing for this kind of strategic innovation is absolutely critical now. You can call it the perfect storm. What makes the current moment so urgent? Why now?
We are really seeing a convergence of factors hitting simultaneously. It's not just one challenge anymore. It feels more like a flood. You have demographic shifts, which are leading to enrollment declines in many traditional student pools. At the same time, operational costs just keep rising.
And technology isn't standing still either.
Not at all. You inject something like generative AI, that fundamentally disrupts how we think about delivering education, how we assess learning. It's massive.
And the competition looks different too, doesn't it?
Completely. The competitive field is much wider now. It's not just the university down the road. It's alternative providers, boot camps, online platforms, many offering skills-based credentials faster, sometimes cheaper. And layered on top of all that, you have shifting expectations from employers, from the public, maybe even eroding trust in the traditional degrees value proposition.
So it's this mix of factors all hitting at once.
Exactly. It's a cocktail of simultaneous pressures that really demands more than just incremental adjustments. It requires radical strategic overhaul.
Okay, that really underscores why business model innovation isn't some optional extra. It's fundamental to protecting those core academic values, ensuring the institution stays relevant, stays resilient. So the obvious question for a leader listening is, how? How do you tackle something this huge? Your playbook offers a structured system, a repeatable methodology. What's its core purpose for leaders facing this?
The aim is to create something practical, something that can be embedded right into the yearly strategic planning cycle. It's not meant to be just another report that gathers dusts. Essentially, it provides leaders with core capabilities to move from, let's say, abstract worry to concrete action plans. We probably cannot cover all in depth now, but maybe we focus on two critical areas: mapping the current state and managing governance.
That sounds good. Let's start with mapping. You stress mapping the as-is business model, but specifically at three levels: the university, the college, and the program. Why is that three-layer view so vital?
Oh, yes, that distinction is absolutely crucial. You can't skip it because the financial realities, the market pressures, the innovation opportunities, they look very different at each level. Think about it. The university wide business model involves the overall brand, the endowment, central services, shared infrastructures, big picture stuff, right? But then you go down to the college level, say the College of Engineering versus the College of Arts and Sciences. They face different market demands, different funding structures, maybe different cost drivers. And then the program level, that's where it gets really granular. Like a specific MBA program, for example, versus an undergraduate philosophy major, their resource needs, their market viability, their costs to serve can be dramatically different.
You need standardized tools to do that analysis consistently across very different academic areas. CFO or provost listening, what are those three layers they need to analyze?
Yes, this structure breaks down the interconnected components of the impact business model canvas IBMC into a logical and understandable hierarchy. The first layer, we call it the impact-oriented core, the why. This is the heart of your institution, defining the problem you address, your core purpose, and who you serve. This layer is fundamental because it governs all other decisions. It answers the question, what problem do we solve? Why do we exist? And for whom? It focuses on unique benefits we provide to our stakeholders and the broader community, moving, for example, beyond simply offering a degree to delivering a transformational experience and societal value. The second layer is the operational core, or the how. And this layer describes how your institution functions on a daily basis to deliver on its mission. It's the engine that makes your value proposition possible. It answers the question, how do we do what we do? It includes everything from our teaching methods and curriculum to our physical and intellectual assets. Also, it includes our network of collaborators and the ways we connect with different stakeholders. The final layer, or the third one, is the financial and impact structure core, or the what and for whom. This layer outlines your economic engine and how you measure the success of your mission. It links financial stability directly to your impact. It answers the question, what do we gain and what does it cost? It focuses on how we generate funding and manage expenses. Crucially, it also includes the metrics we use to prove our social and educational impact, ensuring that financial decisions are always aligned with our mission.
That kind of clarity seems vital for making tough resource decisions. It brings up that second point you wanted to focus on, governance. Big strategic changes, even with great data, can easily get bogged down in shared governance debates. How does this framework help navigate that?
Yeah, that's absolutely a very critical piece, and frankly, where many strategic initiatives fail. So the playbook is designed with shared governance in mind. The framework and methodology itself, the templates that we provide, they explicitly build in points for engaging multiple stakeholders, including like leadership, faculty, staff, existing shared governance committees. They are part of the process, particularly in the diagnosis and the blueprinting stages.
So it's not just top-down.
Not at all. The idea is to make it collaborative design innovation process. When you link the findings from that, for example, 3-layer mapping directly to the proposed innovations, and now faculties are engaging with concrete data about market shifts or financial risks, not just abstract calls for change. Transparency with the data and shared ownership is developing the solution. That's how you build legitimacy and buy-in for the necessary changes that you need.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly to the actual mechanism. You've mentioned the framework, the analysis, but the playbook also includes specific tools to move from analysis to action. You introduce something called the Higher Education Business Model Innovation Compass. What is that exactly? For a president or a trustee, what does it do?
The Higher Education Business Model Innovation Compass is really the centerpiece of the playbook. It's a practical tool designed to help leaders move from simply understanding the challenges their institution faces to actually designing and executing new solutions. Think of it as both a diagnostic and a roadmap. On the one hand, it helps presidents and trustees map their current business model, everything from value proposition, academic offerings, stakeholders, governance, finances, operations, partnerships. On the other hand, it pushes them to identify pressure points, surface opportunities, and imagine alternative models and scenarios that are sustainable and future aligned. What makes it different is that it's not just an abstract framework. It guides leaders step by step, assessing risks, spotting gaps, mapping scenarios, and then translating those insights into actionable strategies. And because it embeds shared governance and change management into the process, it's not something imposed from the top down. It's a way to bring the whole institution along in rethinking how it creates and delivers value. So, for a president or trustee, the compass answers the what next question. It gives them a structured, tested way to move beyond incremental fixes and actually design new business models that can thrive in today's environment.
That sounds like a powerful tool for moving from diagnosis to actual decisions. Can you briefly walk us through the operational cycle the playbook suggests? How do the chapters guide a leader along that path?
So maybe let me first walk you through how the playbook is designed. So the playbook is designed as an interplay of chapters and tools. Chapters provide in-depth analysis, identifying challenges, applying business model concepts, surveying emerging business models, proposing innovation scenarios and approaches. And then you have tools like that can be tables, forms, templates. They distill the chapter insights into concise, actionable roadmaps. So the higher education innovation business model compass integrates all these tools into one executive planning system. This layered design allows leaders to move seamlessly from understanding into diagnosis, making decisions, and taking action. So the playbook is built as both a narrative journey and a practical toolkit. Each chapter offers context, analysis, and strategic options, while the tools at the end of each chapter translate those insights into clear, structured innovation pathways. Together, they form an integrated system that culminates in the Compass executive tool, which consolidates all these frameworks into a single actionable reference. So if you think about the chapters, for example, you start by chapter 1, where that maps the major challenges reshaping higher education today. It provides a narrative details plus an impact assessment tool and a risk matrix for actionable stakeholder use and insights. Now, moving one step ahead to chapter 2, it introduces conceptual frameworks to understand the higher education business models. So it provides narrative plus an as-is mapping templates to capture the institution's current business model. Moving to chapter 3, you realize that this chapter lays out the legacy higher education business model with its strength, limitations, and structural layers. It provides a narrative plus a baseline, three-layer impact business model to the legacy higher education, which forms some kind of a baseline benchmark for leaders to understand. And then chapter 4 links challenges to targeted innovation possibilities and scenarios. So it provides narrative plus a strategic innovation blueprints and action roadmaps that translate this narrative into actionable innovation pathways and scenarios. Chapter 5 is really very interesting because in that chapter, we surveys almost 12 emerging higher education business models. So the chapter provides a narrative plus three-layer impact business model breakdowns for each one of these emerging higher education business models. It also provides innovation pathways linking, again, the challenges to each one of these emerging business models to support comparison, planning, and alignment with institutional strategy. So again, like if you talk about the higher education business model innovation compass, it integrates all these tools. I'm not talking about the narrative here, but which can be used simultaneously. But it integrates all the tools into a one executive level reference for planning. It can be used for leadership retreats or for board meetings and presentations. It includes templates, forms, governance guidelines, and methodological notes for operational use.
The blueprint. That sounds like where the strategic choices get made concrete. What's the biggest risk an institution avoids by having a clear blueprint, compared to just having, say, a list of aspirational goals in a strategic plan?
That's a great question. The biggest risk it mitigates is resource misallocation and initiative fragmentation. You know how it goes. An aspirational operational plan without a clear blueprint can lead to every dean or VP launching their own 5 pet projects, often under-resourced, sometimes pulling in different directions. It creates chaos, right?
Lots of activity, maybe not much progress.
Precisely. So the blueprint forces prioritization. It requires leadership teams to define maybe 3 to 5 priority executable scenarios or strategic shifts. And then this is key. It demands they tie specifically measurable operational steps, timelines, and allocated capital to making those scenarios happen.
So it connects the dots financially.
It connects strategy to budget. It translates possibilities into funded, actionable roadmaps. It ensures your strategic investments are focused on innovations that have high impact and genuinely align with the mission.
That focus on execution really brings us to the final opportunity here, which is institutionalizing this entire approach.
Yes, correct. So the ultimate goal is to shift the institution's culture and practices to move away from episodic planning, like scrambling every 5 years when a financial crisis hits, and towards establishing an annual cycle of continuous strategic innovation. What is also very important is creating a common language that all the stakeholders on campus can use to communicate innovation. When everyone is speaking this language, leadership, faculty, staff, that will enable the process, will make the process more collaborative and more productive.
What might that look like in practice?
Well, it could mean using the mapping templates as a part of the regular annual program review process, or maybe using the templates for program design also. It might mean using the compass consistently in board meetings to track strategic progress against financial realities, or to maybe brainstorm scenarios to respond to challenges. Maybe piloting the full framework within 1 or 2 colleges to build capacity and demonstrate success. The aim is to create a living, breathing system for ongoing diagnosis, innovation, planning, and action across the entire institution.
It sounds like a really profound opportunity then. A way to systematically understand the challenges, explore genuinely future-ready models, and perhaps most importantly, build financial strength while protecting and even enhancing the core academic mission.
That's precisely the opportunity. Leaders really face a fundamental choice. Are they going to continue treating challenges facing their institutions reactively, often through incremental steps, or are they going to proactively use a structured approach like this as the core innovation and design mechanism for shaping their institution's next sustainable and impactful era? The playbook provides the tools and the methodology to make that second choice possible.
This has been incredibly insightful. You've laid out not just the challenges, but a clear, actionable path forward for transitioning from just reacting to crises to proactively designing the future university. Thank you so much for sharing the essence of this vital work.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
For more insights, frameworks, and tools to rethink higher education business models, consult the full playbook by Dr. Ghazwan Hassna.